Rejoining us, Brian Grete as well as Andrew Jackson. Brian, talking to some farmers and basis right now, and some of these cash grain bids just continue to be a phenomenal, whether it be ethanol plants or other areas. What is that telling us at this point?
Well, it tells us that the supply is not as good as the demand, and we do have some demand concerns on the export side of things for old crop corn. Kind of limping into the finish line here. Ethanol production probably needs to get going a little bit here into the end of the marketing year, and so there are some demand concerns, but yet the basis remains exceptionally strong, which tells us that the supply probably isn't as much as what some think it is out there.
Yeah, so if the supply isn't as much, Andrew, then, you look at how it kind of sets the stage, the carryover as we head into this new crop. I mean, it seems like we need a lot of extra bushels then to make up for what's possibly not there, if what basis is telling us is true.
Yeah, a lot of that is maybe the bushels are dislocated. I mean, they're not exactly where they need to be, or the timeliness isn't there. There's still corn in the farmer's bin, but that doesn't do the feed mill any good. So with the recent sell-off we've seen in futures, the basis has to do the work. Looking into the Mid-South, southern top feed markets, think about it like this. And I know there's some noise from the July SEP roll, but if a feed mill was paying $9 for cash corn just a couple months ago, when futures were $7.50, and today, futures are $6, but hey, they still got to have corn. So does $9 really hurt that much? Yeah, it's historically a very high number, but this sell-off in the futures and the roll to the July at the huge spread, at the huge inverse that we went off at, has really given basis room to run.
And last weekend on the show, Brian, we talked about, train troubles and just the transportation issues and the issues getting feed out west, and even the issues in the southeast. So when you look at some of those transportation problems, is that possibly causing some of that grain to be in areas that it shouldn't be at this point?
Absolutely. I think Andrew hit the nail on the head right there when he said just, it isn't necessarily in position. And when you get that, then you get the imbalances or the crazy type of action that we're seeing in the basis and those types of things. So I think that definitely has something to do with it. Just the infrastructure and the ability to get the bushels from where we need them or from where they're located to where we need them is a big portion of this basis play.
Yeah, Andrew, we've been hearing from the South and Southwest some issues getting that grain via train. And so they've had some very aggressive bids for grain via truck. When you look at the Mid-South and some of that area that you're in, are you seeing something similar take place?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't, if you know that the railroad's not going to be dependable, that these shipments aren't going to show up, can you take the chance on running out of feed? Well, you can't starve a profit out of an animal. So, you have to make feed every single day. It's not like having a grain elevator on the river where you don't have to load a barge every day. It's no big deal if you don't load one today. But the chickens have to be fed. So when the mill is out of corn, price doesn't matter. You have to keep the processor going.
When you look at the situation that's happening in Ukraine, and we continue to see how it's going to play out, discussions are starting back up. Can we get that grain indeed out of Ukraine? How does that continue, Brian, to shift this world supply and ultimately the demand for grain here in the U.S.?
Well, everything's in balance because of the situation in Ukraine, and even if they do get a deal and we start the resumption of exports coming out of Ukrainian ports, it probably isn't going to be anywhere near normal, to be honest with you. Some of that grain's already been, in all likelihood, stolen by Russia and already shipped around the world to their benefit. So the numbers that are being thrown out there in terms of what's available from Ukraine probably aren't the reality of the situation. And just because we get a signed deal doesn't mean that it's going to be a normal situation anytime soon. And so what you're looking at is something subprime, and we aren't going to see the logistics issues or the global supply issues abate anytime soon, in my opinion.
So, Andrew, knowing that, not knowing what this crop is going to turn out to be, but the risk that may still be on the table. Yet you're talking about the feed needs and getting grain where it needs to be. The seasonals of the market, the psychology of the market right now. What is your advice for farmers who are really weighing what they should be doing at this point when it comes to pricing this new crop?
Well, let's talk about the old crop maybe first, if that's all right. Take advantage of these basis opportunities. Let's talk about the easy play, and that's one. Whether or not you decide to price the futures on it, that's your call. Okay, but the basis on this old crop, if you're able to sell, what I mean, historically way better than what you're used to seeing, and then you look at what harvest value, and you're a buck premium to harvest or whatever that number is, get that taken care of. Let's get that out of the way first. And as far as new crop, I still think the market may have room for one more good bounce in it here. We're still a long ways from harvest, and the crop is in pretty decent shape, but we've still got we still got a lot of weather between now and then, and we've got to finish this thing. On top of the fact that the world balance sheets, it's not like we're super flush, and we've already sold off corn below $6. We've already sold beans down to near the $13 level for new crop. We've already got wheat down around $8, and those are all historically very high levels. But we're also at historically low levels on carryout. So at some point you got to ask yourself, how comfortable do the funds or whoever feel selling, selling below this I hate to use the word new plateau, but this plateau that we're currently on. Is it time to go below that yet? My opinion is until you get until you get a little further along and either know that the U.S. crop is a monster, or know that South American acreage is going to be big, and hey, we're also getting it in the ground. We got good weather to start. I would be cautious about selling below crop insurance prices.
All right. Well, Andrew, Brian, both of you, I know will be on the Pro Farmer Crop Tour coming up here in just a month. And so we'll probably be checking in with both of you then. But thank you so much for your insight this weekend. We need to take a quick break, and then we'll have much more right here on U.S. Farm Report.